Hello, and welcome to this episode of Wisdom of a Lifetime. Today, I'm really super excited to cover this idea of superposition and what does it mean to our reality. So, before I start, I'd love for you to join my social media platforms. You can join in anytime, follow, and/or visit my website, wisdomofalifetime.com. So I'm doing all of this because at 65, I committed myself to really making a difference and really sharing with the world every part of my insight I have. So let's get started on this episode. So let's start with what is superposition? And with that, I'm going to ask my friend AI to help me describe superposition so I don't have to. So let's get started. Hi, Gemini.
Hey there. What's on your mind today?
Can you help explain what is superposition?
Superposition is kind of a mind-bending concept, even for me. It's basically the idea that things can be in multiple states at the same time until we actually measure them. Think of it like Schrodinger's cat, that thought experiment where a cat is both alive and dead until you open the box to check. It's the same idea with particles in the quantum world. They can be in multiple places at once until you try to figure out where they actually are.
So basically, in a superposition state, every possibility of that particle exists until it collapses. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Think of superposition like a coin flip before it lands. It has the potential to be heads or tails, but it's not one or the other until it actually stops spinning. It's the same idea with particles in quantum mechanics.
Now, this comes out of the idea of from the Copenhagen interpretation that basically in a superposition there's a collapsing of the wave function to an actual particle. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. The Copenhagen interpretation is one way to explain what's going on. It says that before you measure something, it's in this weird wave like state where anything's possible. But the moment you measure it, the wave function collapses, and you get a definite result like the particle is in one specific place.
So with that, there are other interpretations also, correct?
Yeah, there are definitely other interpretations of quantum mechanics. Some physicists like the many worlds interpretation, which says that instead of the wave function collapsing, all the possibilities actually happen in different universes.
So regardless of which interpretation, there is a superposition which we call the wave function. And in the wave, every possibility exists, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Superposition is the idea that before you measure it, a particle exists in this kind of wave like state where all possibilities are open. This wave like state is described by something called the wave function.
Now, in the wave, the collapsing in the Copenhagen interpretation creates a particle, and the particle is what we observe as matter. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. In the Copenhagen interpretation, the wave function collapsing gives you a definite measurement. That's where we get the idea of a particle.
But even particles are still not objects like we think about, like balls, billiard balls, or something. They're actually still actual wave functions. They're actually in a wave state. We think of it as a wave or a quantum field, as a better description, a field. And the quantum field, even like in quantum field theory, that basically the particle is still actually just an excitation of a field that creates at that point in the matter of space what we call matter. Is that correct?
Yep, you're absolutely right. Even though we talk about particles like they're little balls, they're not really like that. Quantum field theory gives us a better picture. It says particles are more like disturbances or excitations in a field. Think of it like waves in the ocean. They're not solid things, but they're definitely there.
So quite an illusion, correct?
Yep, it's definitely mind bending. The world of quantum mechanics can feel very different from the world we experience on a day to day basis.
So I'd like to thank you, but before I go, what about what when it collapses in the Copenhagen interpretation, we get a particle, and that particle then behaves in a certain state. Why is it that we have these collapsing of the wave function to a particle? Why is that happening in reality?
That's a great question, and honestly, it's something physicists are still trying to figure out. The Copenhagen interpretation doesn't really explain why the wave function collapses, it just describes what seems to happen. There are other interpretations of quantum mechanics that try to get at that why question, like the many worlds interpretation or the relational interpretation. But for now, the best we can say for sure is that it's one of the mysteries of the quantum world.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me know if you have any other questions.
So there you're right from AI. So with that, what does that mean for reality? Well, I think it's really important from my experience. When I was 21, when 21 plus actually, I came across this book, and this book changed my life forever. And it really taught me something which I was not open to at that point because I'd been programmed, born Catholic, which I'm not against religion anyway, but I was really basically very much into my belief system about what should be and what should not be. And it was only the fact that after I was open to the idea, what the book was stating, that in the ability to have an attitude, you create this collapsing of the wave function to a particle. Now, of course, we're talking about particles versus our lives, and reality is much, much different when we're talking about our lives versus a particle. But really, they are the same thing. The reality is shaped by your attitude and your belief system. So if you can change your belief system and your attitude to something, then your reality and your intention of what you want it to materialize will happen. Now, this is hard to understand because it doesn't happen right away. It takes quite a while. Sometimes it can happen very fast. Sometimes it can take years. So a lot of times we don't believe, we don't have faith, we give up. And unfortunately, that's not the right position to really approach it from. The real position to approach it from is to say, what's my attitude to my goal? Number one, do I have faith and believe in it? Or do I believe it's just not possible? Or two, is it the fact that I'm not really clear about what I want in my life? And I think many people go around life not very clear about what they want. So I learned very early on at a very young age to get very clear about what I want and to get to the point where I know it's going to happen and believe it, not believe, but not have faith in it and knowing what happens, and not have to just believe in it and yet doubt it's not going to happen. And that's much what happened to me in my early life. I had clear intentions, but I really didn't believe it was going to happen. And it took a lot of work and effort, which I'll cover in many more episodes, to really get the point of getting to knowingness. And once knowingness happens, then the collapse happens from the wave function to the reality of what you want, your intention. So, what I love for you to do, if you really are excited about this episode and want to try it out, I'd love for you to think one goal, one intention you love to happen in your life. Make it so it's not too absurd, like, you want to be a billionaire and you basically have, a dollar to your name. That's a little absurd. But basically, just try to pick something that is more tangible, but kind of a little bit out there, but kind of maybe, and pick that one goal. And the reason why that is, we'll cover in other episodes, but pick something that's tangible, get very clear about it, whether in your mind, write it down. It really doesn't matter. It's really about you getting clear about it. And then I love for you to think about what is your attitude towards that goal or intention. Do you believe it or not believe it? Do you really have negativity? Do you talk bad words? Is your actions bad? I wouldn't say bad, but poor. Do you really have a very negative attitude in life? Because if you do, it's never going to realize. If you really want to have something positive in your life, you got to change your attitude. You're going to have to get to a point where you don't spew out garbage and negativity all the time, but you're really trying to make the world a better place. And you're really trying to understand and be patient about what is going to happen in your life. And there's an old saying that we're a guest here in this world we call a reality, this universe. And as a guest, we don't want to be unwanted, but we want to behave ourselves with our best behavior. And the best way to do that is basically have a really good attitude. Pick a goal, watch your thoughts, watch what you say, watch what you do. And in relation to that one goal, if you stay positive and you really start having faith in it, then that goal will realize over time. It might happen overnight. It might take a little bit, maybe even years. But having faith is more than a belief system. It's a knowingness. And that knowingness is really important to cultivate. So in future episodes, I'll cover more about intentions, how to get your knowingness, how to get to knowingness from just beliefs. And basically, that will help you create your reality. So with that, thank you for your time.